Hey guys, it's Matt Levchenko here, and I wanted to put this quick little video together to share with you my story and why I chose to join Keller Williams 11 years ago whenever I got into real estate. Maybe many of you, there's a lot of different ways and paths that people get into considering getting into real estate. And for myself, back in 2008, 9, and 10, right at the kind of the peak of the housing bubble, and then right before the crash, I was also just finishing graduate school, and my wife and we just got married, and we were doing whatever we could to make a living. And in the background, I was always really interested in real estate and investing. And one of the books I had read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you haven't read it, absolutely, it's one of those must reads because it completely shifted my mindset around assets and liabilities and wealth and all of that. And one of the core tenets in the book, and one of the threads that if you take a look at the wealthiest individuals all over across the country, real estate is a large majority of how they built their wealth. And so I became really fascinated about it. Again, my background was in the arts and education. And so I didn't go to school for business, and I didn't go to school for marketing, and I didn't go to school for sales. I was in theater. I was teaching theater and educational outreach programs in Kansas City in the community. And so if you're still watching and you don't have any experience in real estate, great news. There's a place for you. I'm living proof. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki had suggested is getting into mastermind groups, or going to investor meetings, or getting around people that are doing what you wanted to do. And so I began doing that, and it was exciting. It was fun to network and talk to other people around it. And yet the investor meetings were really geared towards all the different creative strategies of getting real estate. And I wasn't in a position or a place where I really even understood transactions that well. So I wasn't comfortable putting together these creative real estate options, which are valid, and a lot of people use them, and I use them myself now as an investor. And yet, as I was going through those meetings, I kept thinking to myself, okay, well, how do I get in? How do I break in? And one of the things I discovered was, well, what if I just get my real estate license, and then I can help investors, and then if I can help other people that I know that may be thinking about buying or selling houses. And I was also working a full-time job at the time, thinking, well, if I did like 2 or 3 or 4 transactions additionally that year, gosh, like that'd be an extra $15,000. And at that time I was only making like $35,000. And so like $15,000 as a side hustle seemed really exciting. And so I got my real estate license. I went through the classes. And then at that point, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how brokerages worked. I didn't know how different brands worked. Some of the speakers that I listened to, I had recalled hearing like Keller Williams be in the background in those conversations. And so I had interviewed with 4 different brokerages when I was getting my license. So the realtor that we used to buy our house was at a smaller kind of a boutique or independent brand, if you will. And so I visited with the broker and his wife with them. Then there was a larger local brand here in Kansas City that I had visited with that was more of what we call a traditional real estate company. And then I had visited with the Keller Williams office near me. And what was really interesting is so many of the meetings were really, what are you going to do for us? Which was really interesting because it felt like the interview was like they were interviewing me and whether or not I was going to be a good fit or whatever. And so I was just kind of sharing some of the ideas and thoughts of the things that I was already doing and wanting to do. And 3 of the appointments I was just kind of met with like, okay. Like it just felt like judgment. And it was really difficult for me to explain at that moment because again, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, like I gotta get these guys to like me. And so my appointment with Keller Williams was a completely different appointment. And whenever I sat down with the team leader at that time, he really spent some time to ask really great questions to get to know me, right? Like, what are some of my goals? What does the next 12 months look like ideally, and then going beyond that, like, okay, cool. So like in the next 12 months, if you do X, Y, and Z, like, what will that do for you and your family? Like, how will that change things for you? How will that make you feel? What will that be like whenever you go home and you show up with an extra 30, 40, $60,000 to your household income? Like, what's the next thing that you would do? And then we were talking about mindset and training and education and classes, and that was one of the first times where I was like, oh wow, like this is really interesting. Because also in the background, I started discovering different authors around mindset and energy and perspective and like personal development and self-development, and the conversations that I was having with that team leader at that time really resonated with me on more than just a financial level, right? Like it was we were talking about things that really mattered to me, that got me really excited. And whenever I had shared some of the ideas and thoughts of how I wanted to really launch my business at that time, one of the things that was really interesting that he had done was said, oh, well, we have several people that are doing something like that. Let me introduce you. Like, let me connect you with them. And I was like, oh, wow, there's other people here that are licensed that are also thinking about doing real estate the way that I wanted to do it. And so those were like the two biggest factors at the beginning that really had me leaning into Keller Williams. So number one was that the conversation was really more about me and my goals and why that was important to me. And that was the first time that I really felt heard, and it felt like we were looking to get into a relationship versus just be a cog in their wheel, if you will. And then secondly was based on the things that I wanted to do, we've got people doing it. And then even if we don't have people doing it, we've got all this training and classes. And so again, with my background being in education, I'm all about so at Keller Williams, we've got a course called the 6 Personal Perspectives, and it's the mindset and the behavior of top performers and what really separates many of them from others. And one of the first perspectives is about being committed to self-mastery. And what that is that we surround ourselves with lifelong learners. There's a quote that stands out to me, is that the person who doesn't read is no different than the person who can't read, right? And so I'm always in a new book or in a new concept or learning from podcasts, et cetera. Like it's just who I am, right? And so Keller Williams is one of those companies and environments that is constantly and committed to elevating the industry and helping our agents grow personally, mindset-wise, and professionally. And that really excited me, and that really got me going. And so the commitment to self-mastery, the path of education was really exciting. Now, one of the biggest benefits that showed up for me as I joined Keller Williams that I had no idea about is something called the path of progress. And I'm gonna in this website or page where you found this video, I'm gonna put a link to something that we call the path, the opportunity map, if you will, like the path of progress. And what's interesting is that at Keller Williams, the agent role is just one step in a huge map of opportunity in the real estate industry. And so many of the other companies that I had spoken to and so many of the other companies that I interview with, the only thing they focus on is sell another piece of real estate, sell another house. Like, stop worrying about all these other things. Like, just sell more real estate. And at Keller Williams, it's like the conversation was, what does the perfect life for you look like in the real estate industry? And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Because behaviorally, many of us are different. Like, there's a lot of different personality types, and there's a lot of different ways that you can use your personality and your behavior to be successful in real estate. For instance, I'm not a paperwork person. I love relationships. I love getting out there, meeting people. Like, I love groups. Like, that stuff brings me energy. And yet there's some individuals that they like real estate, but they really want to be like one-on-one, or ideally there's some individuals that are like, I love paperwork. I love systems. I love checklists. And guess what? we've got roles and we've got paths for individuals like that to also have a really big life inside our organization. So we've got operations individuals, we've got individuals that love marketing, we've got individuals that love coaching and training and mentoring and sales, and that's just on the agent transactional level. There's another world out there on market center leadership, right? Office leadership and becoming a team leader or a productivity coach or an assistant team leader or being an investor in an office or other, there's so many paths, and their company is so big that you really get to become the architect of your future. Now, here's the other thing. Don't get me wrong. If you just want to sell real estate, if you want to be an individual agent and you want to sell real estate and you want to do 5 transactions or 15 or 50 transactions or 500 transactions, like, we've got models and systems around that as well, and we can help you with that. And so when I saw the opportunity map, that lit a fire in me as well, because at the core of who I am, which is why I gravitated towards the arts and education to begin with, is that I love helping people. I love helping people elevate their life. I love connecting concepts, new concepts to individuals, and seeing that spark in someone's eye whenever they get it, right? And so my desire and my natural ability or natural inclination to be more of a coach, a mentor, a trainer, a teacher, was satisfied at the highest level here at Keller Williams. And so in summary, what caused me to join Keller Williams was that it was more than just selling real estate, right? We have a mission statement that says to build careers worth having, so you can own a business worth owning, to create a life worth living, so you can create experiences worth giving, and build a legacy worth leaving, right? Like, those 5 points to me are everything, right? If you're not building a career worth having and a business worth owning, and you're not developing a life worth living, like if you're sacrificing, evenings away from your kids and all of these things, you're not doing it right? You're not doing it right. So again, I encourage you to check out some of the links down below and connect, right? I'd love to share with you more specifically things about my journey, and I'd love to learn about what your journey is as well, and what that path looks like for you, because the only limit in this life is simply our own imagination, right? The sky's not the limit. It's simply our level of thinking. And the only way that you can expand your thinking is by surrounding yourselves with people that are living a big life, that are contributing to their communities at a high level, that are really making an impact. And so I invite you to connect. I invite you to explore what this looks like. And here's the thing: there's models out there for everybody. This is one that I can honestly say changed the future of my family forever. And I'm just thrilled to be able to also share that story with you. So thank you again. If you're still here we are 13 and a half minutes later. If you're still here, I applaud you. And I encourage you to take the next step. Take a look at some of the things below. Connect with us on Facebook through Agent Inferno. Take a look at some of the links and classes, etc. And just know that at the end of the day, the worst thing you can do is nothing. And the best thing you can do is take a chance. So again, Matt Levchenko here. I really look forward to meeting with you and connecting in the future. Here's to creating legacies worth leaving and experiences worth giving in your world. Take care.